Welcome to the FitBiz Accelerator, your ultimate guide to launching, growing, and scaling a thriving online fitness business. I'm your host, Tobias Young, and whether you're just starting out or looking to take your business to the next level, this podcast is packed with actionable tips, real-world strategies, and the insights you need to crush your business goals and build the business of your dreams. Now that you're here, let's dive in. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the FitBiz Accelerator, the go-to podcast for fitness coaches looking to launch, grow, and scale their online business. Today, I've got not just one, but two powerhouse guests joining me, Chris and Eric Martinez. And these guys have been in the game for over 15 years, helping lots of health and nutrition coaches build and scale their business online. They've been through it all. They've invested in all the high-level masterminds, working with elite-level coaches, and even losing $250,000 in mistakes along the way. But instead of letting that stop them, they turn those hard lessons into an unstoppable mission, helping other fitness coaches and health coaches shortcut the process and avoid the costly mistakes and errors. And I'm excited to dive into their journey, their biggest lessons and their strategies that they're going to go through right now to help other coaches crush it online. So let's get into it. Chris and Eric, welcome to the show.
Tobias, man, really appreciate the intro. Love the energy. And just when you had the countdown timer going, I was like, oh man, this cool. Like, how am I not going to get pumped up for this? But no, I appreciate you having us on. And I want to ask, like, is this the first time you've had twins on the podcast?
This is the first time I've had twins.
Yeah. Well, hopefully our eyebrows aren't taking up too much space on these like cameras.
No, there's still more real estate. We're good. And for those who may not know you yet, can you give a quick little rundown of your story and kind of how you got into coaching fitness professionals?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll take you guys back to this. This will be really helpful for someone that was struggling with this and had this type of adversity in their life. So we lost our father at 17 years old. It was 3 days before Christmas. And we grew up in a really good family in Northern California. Our father was a correctional officer. Yep. Shout out to Northern California. He was a correctional officer at San Quentin State Prison. So instilled a lot of discipline and just work ethic in us early on. And again, unfortunately, we lost him, 3 nights before Christmas. He got a knock on the door from a California Highway Patrol officer. And literally, I thought it was a nightmare. It was about 2 a.m. And I remember my mom answered the door and then she fell to her knees screaming. And right then and there, I knew it wasn't a nightmare. And our entire world, our family just kind of, turned just upside down. And for a long period of time, like my mom turned to alcohol and antidepressant pills. I felt like we lost part of our mom, and our older brother too. He was just non-existent. So it was just pretty much me and Chris, left to just kind of, be there for each other and figure things out, go through this adversity. And it was tough. It was extremely tough. We went through some dark, dark times. We turned to alcohol ourselves. We got into a lot of, trouble with the law, things that we're not proud of. But again, we just went through that dark time and we didn't have God in our life at that time, which I look back and I'm like, if I would have just been, closer to God and had, more of a faith, just like relationship, I think things would have been different. But again, all we could do is kind of just grow through that. And, we turned our messes into our messages now. Ever since then, the biggest thing, what the turning point in our life was at age 24, when we were flipping through a muscular development magazine. You remember those, Tobias?
I know a little something about those.
Yeah. Yeah. So I remember like, we were just like at Sonoma State University in one of the college classes, like just kind of just like, man, this is such BS they're teaching us. But we're flipping through the magazine and there was a column by Dr. Lane Norton. And we're like, oh man, who is this guy? He's jacked and he has a PhD in nutritional sciences. And it said his little call to action, like email me for online coaching services. And I was like, what the hell is online coaching services back in 2009? And then we reached out. And the rest was history, man. He took us under his wing as mentors and we learned so much from him. He inspired us to build our first business, Dynamic Duo Training, back in, this was like back in like 2011. And then that's it. We ran that business for 8 years, helped a lot of like people all around the world with health and fitness coaching, got tired of that. Then we went into B2B coaching, which is our business now, Dynamic Fit Pros, helping health coaches and professionals start building, scale their businesses, man. So that's where we're at today. We're just trying to get better and better.
Dude, I love that story. And I can definitely relate on a couple different levels. So one of the levels is living in NorCal. Actually, We're both from Santa Rosa. So
Pioneer High, right?
I went to Pioneer High, then went to LC Allen. LC Allen wasn't even built yet. It was like, I think after my senior year, I think the very next year was their first year or something like that. So that was the newer school in there too. And then, not having a dad growing up is something I can definitely relate to as well. A lot of you guys know my story about that. And then losing my father about 8 years ago too. So it's always tough, but it makes you a better and stronger person. So just like anything, that resilience that grows in there too. So, and you guys have been in the space for 15 years. Like, what were some of the biggest challenges that you guys actually faced early on?
Was this like when we were doing like B2C or like B2B or personal trainers?
Let's go, yeah, as like doing your online training, when you first got into online training.
I think back then, man, it's just like it was so different. Like 2010, like you just didn't have so many ways to get attention, right? I don't even think Facebook ads was rolling out at that time. I think barely like you could use a Facebook. Instagram probably wasn't even like booming at that time. So a lot of that, like what we had to do is get really resourceful, right? So we call this hustling outside social media in our mentorship too. And that's just working a 3 to 10 mile radius of just, building, relationships in your network and still getting people online, even though they're in that local 3 to 10 mile radius. But we also had to get creative too with like joint ventures and collaborations. So for example, like what we did is since Lane Norton was our coach and we had rapport and trust built with them for 5 years, we knew he had a big following, right? And we basically approached him, with a couple of ebooks. You remember back then, man, ebooks were kind of like a big thing. They're not a big thing anymore, right? So I wouldn't recommend doing them. We asked him like, hey, if we write this ebook, right, and literally do 95% of the work, all you have to do is promote this on your social media, not even an email list, right? Just his social media. Would you be interested in like doing a 50-50 split? We did that and ran that play a couple of times and we built up our email list, got attention on our brand, right? And then, obviously we made some money in the back end there, but we just had to do some unorthodox things, right? So where like these days, like you just don't you have more resources. So I think that's what it was, just the lack of resources and just really getting resourceful with it, not making any excuses.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, the more things that you do, the more that you're going to learn. And you mentioned that you lost 210 mistakes. Can you share one of the biggest lessons from that experience?
I mean, I would say the biggest lesson, despite like whatever falls under the category of like mistake wise, like, we hired an ad agency thinking that they were just going to completely blow up our business. This is when we were doing like dynamic duo training B2C, right? We thought they were going to blow up our business. But like, despite that, man, I just think the biggest lesson was just don't be gun shy. It's like we felt it. We had a lot of conviction in like our brand of what we were doing as like online, health and fitness coaches. So it's like, we're just going to roll the dice, and obviously it's like, you're either earning or learning, right? So it's like, we were either going to earn and it was going to pay off, or we were going to learn something from it. And we did learn something from it, right? So where it's like, okay, we probably won't sit there and ever hire like an ad agency like that and learn some of the skill sets ourselves and some of the stuff we apply right now. So I would say that's the biggest lesson, is just taking those little like, micro lessons that we learn from it.
Yeah. And I think just to add on to that, Tobias, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't look at it like it's just a number. Money is just a byproduct. I mean, you are your own greatest asset. So going through, those different mentorships and building skill sets, it's like, that's what we did. Right. And whether it paid off or not in that moment, it's what brought us to, where we're at today. And again, like that's why I try telling coaches where it's like, you can't go wrong by investing in, higher paying skills in yourself, because it's like, you are the asset and you're building that up. The more value the more value you have, the more valuable you become in the marketplace, right? To where you can charge a higher premium. So that's the way I look at it. And for us too, it created urgency, like, investing that type of money. And sure, it's scary and there's uncertainty, right? We don't know if there's a guarantee it's not going to pay off. But again, we put our back against the wall and we're like, you know what, we're going to bet on ourselves. And we're so clear with our vision as to where we want to go, to where it doesn't matter what the price is.
Yeah, that's good. And I've had plenty of coaches that I've invested into for business coaching that were terrible. And I've had plenty that were game changers, right? That were just like, oh my God, like the way that they do that is just so freaking awesome, right? And then we met through a mentorship, through talkies, right? The black belt. So yeah, I mean, there's going to be good things that you're going to be able to get. And if you're looking to really, really scale your business, the best advice I can give you, this is to all the listeners out there, is to work with somebody who's already done all the hard work, who's already been through the exact struggles that you've been in, has the business that you're looking to be able to build and has built that, right? And you guys have worked with over 900 health and nutrition coaches. And what are some of the most common mistakes that you see the coaches that are unable to break past that 10K barrier?
I would say, man, like with that, right? It's different for all of them because, everyone starts off at a different level. And I think it all depends on where that level of business maturity is. Because if someone's just barely starting off, they're going through like a certification program, they're going to be very conditioned, to just think the way that is, and the way those institutes, companies, they design you guys to do that, right? Where it's like, just go get your certification, go work at a gym, let the gym filter you clients, right? It's like they don't want you to learn high paying skill sets. So I think for beginners, that's where they really struggle, is just like, again, really buying into learning higher paying skill sets, such as, marketing, lead generation, building a high ticket offer, how to position it, package, sell it. And again, more of just the mindset type of stuff, right? Because if we really think about like entrepreneurism and whether you're an online coach or whatnot, it's a paradigm shift. That's really what it is, because it's like, we're trying to shift this massive, belief and change these false belief patterns that we have conditioned in us to, again, see the greatness, to think bigger, play bigger, and actually take action and have the courage to do so. So, I mean, there's so many layers to that, man. And it's just like, it's such an interesting conversation, but I would even say too, man, most of it is just going to be the mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would say too, Tobias, just to add to that, like I'm sure you're familiar with this, what Talkie taught with the 5 1s. This is something like we really hammer home like in our mentorship, because it's like, it's all around focus, discipline, and consistency, right? To where it's like one target market, right, that you're focusing on, one offer, right? And that should be a high-end, high-ticket transformation offer. The third thing is like one marketing channel. These days, it's a little bit harder with that sometimes. We always recommend Facebook and Instagram because you can boost, you can do paid advertisement there. And the fourth one is like one sales mechanism. And for you guys as health coaches, professionals, it's like, man, like you're not going to be able to skip getting on the phone and doing Zoom calls if you want to sell high-ticket offers, right? Like those days and that thinking that you're going to have people go to a checkout page and make money in your sleep like that, it's not going to happen. You know what I mean? And the fifth one is just being consistent with it for like 6 to 12 months or 6 to 18 months of just literally those 4 1s and being focused, discipline, and consistency within it all,
Yeah, I love it. And I love the mindset piece that you're talking about too. And you see those coaches, because obviously we deal with coaches all the time, and you have the ones that you talk to and they're just like so stuck on not getting help and not like wanting to spend any money. And they're like, well, I'm going to be able to figure all this stuff out on my own. And then it's like a year comes by, 2 years come by, and then they're still like in your ecosystem. And then you have a call with them and they're just like still stuck at the same place, right? And you have to think about, if they are too scared to invest in themselves, what message are they portraying to their clients? Like, don't invest in getting help, because they're going to kind of have those same kind of that energy pattern in there too. So, and then if we transition into how important is branding and messaging when you're trying to attract, premium clients, because many coaches struggle with the pricing, and then how should they position their offers for the maximum profitability?
Yeah, that's another mistake I see too, right? Is, when people get into wanting to go into online, they actually treat their online business like they're a brick and mortar, right? To where it's like, they're trying to help everybody. In a brick and mortar, it's very hard to target like who's coming in the doors, right? It's kind of going to be whatever you get coming in those doors, right? And it's going to be a lot easier brick and mortar because there's automatic trust, because you have literally a physical location there. And it's like, they're more keen to like do business with you. Online, it's just a different game, right? It's like skepticism is super high, trust is super, low. So it's like, how do you like battle that, right? Well, it's basically one singular target market. And this is where you see a lot of online health and fitness coaches try to work with everybody online, but you can't do that, because the messaging is so important to match that specific avatar, which is that singular target market. And that's where your content comes in. That's where the offer comes in to solve a unique problem, all that stuff. So I would say that's one of the big mistakes I see too with health and fitness coaches online, is they just try to help everybody and they treat their online business like a brick and mortar.
Yeah, but that's great, Chris, and I agree. What attributes to that, though, what a lot of people don't think about when they're first starting off is like, it's the 3 C's of just people don't understand. It's their lack of clarity, their lack of conviction, and their lack of certainty. So again, right? It's just, we hear this, it's like a broken record. Oh, know your vision, get crystal clear on your vision. It's like, we get it. That's not like something sexy to tell somebody, but there's a lot of truth to it, because it's like, if you don't have clarity as to where you're trying to take this business, what's the next right step? that needs to get done that's going to move the business and move the needle forward, it's like you can go in so many different directions and it can get very messy. So then again, right, then if you don't have that conviction, the high level conviction towards like, yes, like I'm a health coach professional, I'm a badass, like I have a set of skills, like I change lives, like I have a high standard, I know my worth and value to charge a high premium and change people's lives. Your conviction level has to be like 110, 50%. And that has to be an energy transfer over to your guys' sales, to where your guys are coaching, and then also to just your guys' messaging. And then again, it's the certainty part, right? How certain are you that, the clarity is good, the conviction is good. And it's like, no matter what comes your way, a trial, tribulation, adversity, you're like, no, I'm crystal clear. I'm so certain that I'm right where I need to be. I'm not as good as I think I am, but look, I'm playing the long game and I'm going to get there over time.
Yeah. And then one of the other things to piggyback off what you guys are saying is when they're talking about when you're kind of coming from a brick and mortar and then transitioning online, is I give this scenario, like why you wouldn't want to have multiple different types of people that you're trying to target. Because I used to make that mistake when I first went online. I was like, I can train lots of different people. I can train competitors and I can train like moms that just had babies. But let me just tell you about those two things, right? So if I'm doing a post and I'm like, hey, do you want to get shredded? Do you want to get a 6-pack? Do you want to get 3% body fat and look absolutely insanely shredded on the stage? I can help you get there. Yes. Could I help that type of person? Absolutely. But then my next post, I'm trying to say, man, there's so many moms out there that just had babies and they have all this baby weight and they're like not confident at all. They're very shy. They want to have the lights off when they're around their spouse and all those kind of things. And I start doing posts about that. And I'm thinking, great, now I'm going to get like both of these type of audiences. But what do you think's happening to that lady that's so self-conscious? She has 30 to 40 pounds. She just had babies. She wants to tone up her butt and just like literally lose the belly pouch. And then she's seen me talk about getting absolutely shredded on the stage. She's going to be like, hell no, I don't want to work with Tobias. Like that dude is like, he works with people like, that's not what I'm looking for. And the same thing with the competitor. If I'm saying, hey, do you want to tone up your butt? Do you want to lose the baby pouch? They're going to be like, hell no, that's not what I'm looking for. I want somebody to help me get shredded. So literally, they just push everybody away when in your head, you're thinking, I'm attracting more people. But literally, it's just obviously doing the exact opposite. So when you can get super clear, like you guys were saying, super clear on one type of big problem and then creating the solution. And then now you're able to market and create a step-by-step system and program designed just for that type of person. And then they're like, damn, like they have a step-by-step system that's designed just for me. I want to work with them. So some of the key things that you want to take away is narrow that bad boy down, become that expert. And then obviously you'll be able to get people that will invest in themselves a lot more.
Yeah. And you hit the nail on that, Tobias. That's just another little nugget for the audience, is just really identify what's the bleeding neck problem that you're solving. What is it that's high persistence and high severity? So an example could be someone that's suffering from migraines, low back pain, knee pain, that's really just causing so many different areas of their life to suffer. And then that's where you come in and have that specialty method and you have the roadmap to solve that.
Yeah. What are you guys seeing right now for what's working right now? Because I know a lot of coaches are out there like, man, like I want to start organic first without, going into paid ads. What do you guys see that's working right now for generating more high quality leads organically?
Organically, I think it's tough, to be honest, man. It's just not what it was, a couple of years ago. And it seems like it's getting harder and harder, organic wise. I mean, you guys can run those plays that like everybody does, whether it's like a challenge, a scholarship, workshops, stuff like that. But it's just like the name of the game is like, how do you get people in, right? How do you get attention? And it's very hard, in my opinion, with like the algorithms these days to do that, unless you have a very engaging organic following, which, we don't even have like a engaging organic following after 15 years, right? And it is what it is, right? I don't use that as an excuse, but you have to work around it. So that's why I'm just a big advocate where it's like, you have to start boosting posts. Like if you're from like 0 to 5K, I just think you have to boost posts. You have to put some skin in the game. And that's just like baby steps to getting yourself into like actual paid advertisement, right? Which I think after that, like you're over 5K months, you have some disposable income, your offer works, your messaging is fine tuned, your avatar's dialed in. You won't waste as much money from when you're at 0 going to 5K, right? But now you can actually spend some money on some paid advertisement, start building an email list, SMS list. And I think that's just kind of the way to go. What's going to be working going forward.
Gotcha. And then how do you guys approach social media content in order to attract and convert the right type of audience? Like as far as, because a lot of coaches are just putting out random content and then just like, hoping that that does the trick. What advice would you give to a coach who's just throwing out random content?
Yeah, I would say with that again, the content part, right? That's a whole nother skill and it's a lot of work, let's be honest. But again, that is going to reflect back on just, again, how clear you are with like the perfect future client. Who is this person? What's their pain points, the wants, the desires, what's their goals, what's the problems you solve. If you don't have that dialed in, it's going to be very challenging to create good intentional social media to target people. And again, so a framework that people can use, and we got this from Talkie Moore, which is just, it's very simple to follow, and it's called the content matrix. So if you split up your content in just 4 different categories, you have, pretty much a value post, you have a connection post, then you have, invitation post, and then you have a social proof post, right? So you can rinse and repeat those, 4 times out of the week. But again, give some value, how-to stuff, like how to count macros, how to do this exercise, how to read food labels. And then the connection post, that's more of just like talking about who you are, what are your interests, what are your values, your family, blah, 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 to really get people to connect. And then the invitation post, right? Do more call to actions, like be direct, hey, I'm looking for 3 to 5, busy moms that want to lose 20 pounds in 12 weeks. Like, are you interested? Raise your hand. And then social proof, just if you guys have social proof testimonials, like use those, rinse and repeat those. So that's a great framework if it's like you're struggling with that, because it keeps it so simple with those 4 topics and just rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I think one more thing too, Tobias, like just to hit on that, man, with like the content, especially if it's organic, like what Eric talked about, those 4 different types of posts, like the connection post is also like polarizing, right? Mm-hmm. And also contrarian content. I see a lot of health coaches, professionals, personal trainers that are going online. They're so damn scared to talk about like their message and speak their truth, like what's really on their mind, because they're so afraid of like not getting liked by somebody. They're so afraid of offending somebody, right? And you can't be like that. You can't be vanilla online like that, because you're not going to stand out, right? You will just literally get watered down with every other health coach out there if you don't have some sort of polarizing content where you're taking a stand on something, right? Maybe it's like you hate keto. Okay. Well, then speak loud and proud why you hate keto and what your philosophy is on there, and stick to that, because you're going to basically repel people away that love keto. And then you're going to actually bring in the right tribe that resonates with what your philosophy is, or your thinking, or your approach on there. And it's one of the biggest mistakes I see. We constantly have to hammer this home every single week to like our students is the more you polarize, the more you monetize.
Yeah, I agree. And the polarization is hardest for a lot of people because they're like, I don't want to offend anybody. Hey, like you want to push the people away who aren't going to be a good fit. And then you're just going to draw those other people in super tight, or that you build your tribe that way, which is good. And I love the point about the connection post too. And I think not enough people do connection posts. And connection posts is what really draws people in to know the you. And people don't buy coaching, people buy the coach, and then they get the coaching in there. So if they feel really drawn to you, they love your vision, they love your personality, they love how you speak, like that's going to like give them a green light to like find out more about working with you and how everything works in there too. And my connection posts actually do so much better than my business posts. Yeah. I could be like dropping some dimes. I'm like, man, people are going to love this tip on business. And then I have a picture with me and my dog, and it's just like, I'm like, oh, damn, that's crazy. So people, love to get in people's lives. That's why that Kardashian show is so freaking like wild. Everybody just loves to kind of get in there. So if you can just give that little piece of yourself outside of your business attire, then that is going to be obviously pretty key.
100%.
Oh, a lot of fitness coaches also hesitate to sell in the DM. So like, I don't want to do a DM. I don't want to send anybody a message because they feel like they're bothering them or something. What's your best advice for having conversations, or even making sales conversations just feel more natural in the DMs?
And I would say just like number one, get over yourself, right? And just stop making it about you, right? Mm-hmm. Our pastor says, if you want to live a miserable life, then you're making everything about yourself, and it's just like, if you're in this game to actually serve people and you truly want to build this business and help people out, impact their lives, and, just stop making it about you. It's not about you, going into the DMs or anything like that. You're going in there with like serving people, because it's the same exact damn thing as a personal trainer working the gym, or a nutritionist that has a practice or a clinic, and people come in. Well, they have to start a conversation, right? And is everybody going to sit there and give them money to work with them? No, they're not. But you have to start a conversation, because conversations lead to conversions, right? So with that though, man, I mean, tactical wise, it's just, don't be like everybody else, right? Like there's so many people that are so aggressive. They're like sharks. Like you can just feel the energy that they're just literally attacking you. You're just a number. They copy and paste like things, just put your name in there. Sometimes they spell your name wrong. Just take some time, right? To be just genuine. Look at somebody's content, leave them a genuine comment, right? Mix it up with like some audio messages, some video messages. So you pattern interrupt and they connect with you through like the audio and the video version of it. Just think about what you would do if like literally that person was physically right in front of you. You know, you wouldn't be a douchebag. You wouldn't interrogate them, right? You would be genuine. You'd be empathetic. You try to really help them out. And that's just the same exact thing with like the DMs and stuff like that, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, if you have an in-person business, are you just going to walk around the gym and not talk to anybody, especially if you see people doing things wrong? Like, no, you're going to walk up and just say what's up to people. Like DMs don't have to be salesy. They don't have to feel slimy. It's just about making connections. Because even if you don't even talk about fitness in the very beginning, you establish rapport, you establish relationships, then that's going to boost the algorithm, because when Facebook or Instagram sees two people talking together, then it's going to start to show your posts to each other. And then your posts, if they hit to what they're looking to see, then they're going to be interacting in there. And that gives you the green light to say, hey, thanks so much for, commenting on my post about this. Tell me about how this relates to something you're working on or something. Then you can relate it directly there. So it doesn't all have to be super salesy, but you have to have conversations, you guys. This is like one of those key things in there.
Yeah.
So good
And
stuff.
just one last point on that too. Like you nailed it, Tobias. Like it doesn't have to be salesy, but at the same time too, right? We are fighting against attention. So many people are doing that. People are so distracted. And we're not at the top of mind, nor should we be, right? So when you do have that conversation that's going, someone's giving you their time, they're responding back. I always say strike while the iron's hot. Because if you wait too long and you're asking way too many questions, dragging it on, people will forget that and they're just going to lose interest. So strike while the iron's hot, read the room, and just move that conversation onto a phone call.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, I see that. Also a big mistake that coaches just go on and on and on talking about nothing at all. And they're just like, well, I don't know what to say. I'm like, gosh. Okay. So yes. And then obviously mindset's going to be a big piece, right? What's the biggest mindset shift that coaches need to make in order to scale beyond 10K months? What are you seeing?
I'll take a stab at it. I would just say like, get over like, everything needs to be certain, right? It's just, that's the thing. They think that there's like always like this roadmap and this system that's going to work out so perfect, right? And maybe we all do have like systems and we do have roadmaps and we have unique mechanisms to get them there, right? But again, that's not perfect. Nothing's perfect, right? Business is messy. You know that, right, Tobias? Like after being in this, man, it's messy as hell, right? And it is scary, right? And it's just, but that's what fires us up, right? Because I don't know what life would look like if I didn't do this, right? And I have a very high risk tolerance, right? A lot of people don't, right? And that's something I'm just starting to learn too. Like even after all these years helping all these health coaches, professionals, is some people just aren't cut out for this, right? There's some people where they just want to come in, they want to make a couple of grand, they just want to go online, have another income stream, right? They want to play it safe with like, their practice or being in the gym and stuff like that. And then there's those killers out there that want to take it to, 6 figures, multiple 6 figures, but not everybody's cut out to do that, right? But I just think that it's like you have to have a higher risk tolerance mindset wise, and you just have to just like break that belief that there's going to be certainty and guarantees in this journey, because there's not. Like you're going to risk a lot, you're going to sacrifice a lot, and there's the only thing that's certain, man, these days. You pay your taxes, water's wet, and fire's hot. That's it. Business is not certain, it's not guaranteed. It's like get over it and just roll with the punches and understand it's going to be messy.
Yeah. And I think with that too, it's really people wanting to become that next 2.0 version that they need to be. And we all need to go into that and tap into that, right? It's just new levels are going to bring new devils. And I think there's a lot of people that do fear success. They question, well, what if I do make it to this? What if I do get to that level? It's like, I have to hire a team. I have to, take more time for my family. I have to become a better leader. There's a lot that goes on to scaling a business, and you have to become that 2.0 version. So there's a lot of limiting beliefs, but it's what my pastor says too, man. Like everything starts with your think, your be, and then your do equals your have. So every day we can control the thoughts, the attitudes, and actions that equal what we have in life. So if you're trying to get to that next level, okay, how do I need to think differently? How do I need to become that person? And then how do I need to do equal the actions that, result into having what that next 2.0 version person has?
Yeah, good stuff. Because motivation doesn't last, right? Motivation comes and it goes. But obviously establishing those habits and that consistency is what really, the work ethic, that's what really helps those coaches get past that. When you're not feeling like, man, I want to I need to do more posts, or I need to have more DM conversation, all those things. The coaches that just freaking do it, those are the ones that hit past 10K.
Exactly.
Right. Just like the clients, or just like, you as trainers, right? When you're working out, you don't be like, okay, well, I don't feel like going to the gym, I'm not going to work out this month. Like, no, you're going to be like, well, I don't feel like going to the gym, but you're still going to freaking do it. Like me, I go to the gym every day and I train jujitsu every day. It's just like brushing my teeth. It's just like one of those things. I don't always feel like it, but I'll tell you what, 99% of the time when I'm done with my workout, I'm like, man, I feel so much better. You get those endorphins going. You feel good. You got your sweat on. You're like, oh, this was freaking awesome. And it's the same thing with your business too. Once you really start connecting with some really, really cool people and you make some, good, you generate some leads and you're like, oh my God, that was really cool. I generated some calls, had some cool connections. I had some cool convos with some people. And that's why niching down to somebody that you love to work with and you can help is really cool too. And you're not just doing it for the money, right? So you do it because you love working with those people, then you're going to enjoy it that much more, right? So how do you guys personally stay motivated, and how do you guys stay ahead of some of the industry trends that come along?
Yeah. I mean, it's a great question, man. I mean, it's just, even after 15 years, it's just so much learning, and it's never ending. Things change so fast. So it's like, you just have to buy into just, that student mode and just getting better and sharper and just, that excellence, that attitude of excellence. So I think for me, man, what really keeps me just like, poised and humble is just, again, just being mission focused and purpose and just process driven. I think a lot of it, people are so outcome driven these days, right? They're chasing all the shiny objects. Like, I'll get you to a 6-figure business in 6 months, 3 months. It's just all fluff, but they're forgetting that it's like, there's a process behind that and you have to have purpose behind that. It's like, you have to continuously buy into evolving into that next version of who you are. And then what's the mission, right? Get clear on what is the mission that you're trying to serve. How are you trying to change lives and make it about other people, not yourself? So that's what keeps me grounded, man. Just, it really, really does. As long as I have that mindset and the attitude to where this is a process and it's like, I'm doing what I love. I get to do this. I'm very, very blessed and I live a privileged life. Then I'm good.
Yeah, I think the second thing to add to that, Tobias, just like answering the latter part of that, how do we stay like up on industry trends? Is like, we're in masterminds too, man. Like every year, like we're investing in ourselves too. And like, that's another thing is like, I don't know how, like being a business owner, you don't sit there and invest in yourself or have other people that are like-minded or a community around you, because even after 15 years, it's hard as hell still. I'm not going to lie. It's hard. So it's like, how much harder do you think it is doing this journey by yourself? So it's like, I'll happily invest in him. And that's why we invested in Uriel Kame's mastermind, because I wanted to learn directly from the source, from somebody that has a multi-7-figure business. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I'm keeping up on the trends under him and seeing what he's doing. And I see how he treats his business like it's like an Apple product or a Harley Davidson. And he's so obsessed with the product and making it better. And like that feeds off of us to where it's like, okay, our delivery needs to be just like that, like an Apple product or Harley Davidson product. That's how I get it, man. I don't really listen to too many podcasts, read too many books and YouTube channels, like, and all that stuff. I really focus on who's the mentor that I'm under. I'm studying him, like literally like a fine tooth, everything this person's doing and trying to evolve in my own version to that person.
Yeah, because we're always forgetting things. And if you're not constantly learning, then you're actually regressing. So if you think that even you're maintaining your neutral, by like, oh, okay, well, I learned a lot of stuff and now, I'm good. Like, no, you're forgetting those things little by little. Everything goes from, obviously short-term to long-term to like out the back door. So it's really hard. Plus industry trends change. And if you're still doing things that worked for you 10 years ago or 15 years ago, it's a whole different ball game now. Yep. Right? Things that happened 2 years ago are like already changing. So like, you got to be up to date. And then when you surround yourself with other coaches just like you that are all working on growing and scaling and having that growth mindset, you're going to be the next one that's growing and scaling your business and has the right mindset. If you surround yourself with a bunch of people that are sitting around smoking dope, playing video games, you're going to be the next one, right? You're around, you're just like the 5 people that you're around the most. So that's what I always like to say. That's why.
One more thing to add to that too, Tobias, like if this is a health coach, fitness coach, nutrition coach, like you're either thinking about going online or joining a community, like stop, like don't sit there and join those like cheap, like $27, $50, like one-off programs, those $97 communities I'm seeing all over like Facebook ads, like, oh, join my $97 community. Guys, just like think logically, what are you going to get for $97 a month? Just think about it, right? obviously you pay attention, but the more you pay, the more you pay attention, right? So it's just like, if you invest in something higher, obviously in my opinion and from my experience, you are going to get a higher return in that, right? You pay for what you get. So it's like, if you're going to do this and you're all about it and you're fully committed to it, then fork out your wallet, guys, and put your money behind what your mouth is. Because I hear so many people talk a big game where they're going to do this, they're going to do that, right? But when push comes to shove, they don't want to fork out their money, right? And it's because it's uncertainty and there's no guarantee, and it's just fear at the end of the day, you know?
Yeah, I remember the first time that I invested 10K in a mentor. And at that time,
Scary.
I was like, oh my gosh, like
Yeah.
this is so much. I didn't even have 10K, right? I was working at a gym and I was, making ends meet, but I didn't have like an extra $10,000 laying around. So I talked to my wife. I was like, this is something I want to do. My work ethic. I'm going to put it in. Like I've been, checking everything about this coach out. And then finally, I got the thumbs up from the boss and she was like, go for it. And so then I put it down and I was scared to death. But because I literally laid it all on the line, I just went all in. And then, gosh, I got such an ROI from that. Like, my gosh. So yeah, if you don't invest in yourself, you're just going to be, you're
Yeah.
going to
And
get
I'm sure
nothing.
it created a lot of urgency though, right? For you, Tobias, right?
Big
Because
time,
it's like,
big
man,
time.
you put that money down. You're like, man, I don't want to let my wife down. Like, so it creates urgency.
Yeah, absolutely. And then since then, obviously, investing hundreds of thousands of dollars
Yeah,
in
it doesn't
mentors.
stop.
Yes, you know how it goes. And if you guys have any key habits or routines, anything that has made the biggest impact on your success, what would that be?
I'm just going to go back to like what I've been doing for like the past decade. It's just like the morning routine, right? I think you have to take care of yourself, especially if you're like, you're in this for the long game as an entrepreneur, because mentally, man, like you can get beat up. You know what I mean? It's tough. And you can have those seasons where you go in where it's like you're discouraged, you're disappointed, like your mind's playing games with you, even at like this level. And even after 15 years, like, am I good enough to get to that next level? Right? I have those type of thoughts. I'm not going to lie. But if I don't sit there and focus on my morning routine, like literally to like be in the Bible and then being on my hands and knees praying to God for everything I have as opposed to what I don't have, that's how I prime my mindset to just settle down, right? Like just calm all the noise out there, just focus on what I need to do, right, every single day. And that helps me out. If I didn't have my morning routine, I feel like I would just be reactive. I'd be super emotional. I'd be irrational. And that's never good as a business owner.
Yep.
I would have to agree. Same thing. I mean, I've tried so many different routines and just what other successful people, suggest. But I find too, you have to do what works for you best. We're all wired differently. We all have different like ways to, produce and stuff. So a morning routine might not be effective for everybody. Maybe just like them, getting started later in the day might work and they work all throughout the night. That's totally cool. As long as you're moving the needle, getting stuff done. It does for me. Yeah. It's the morning routine because that's when it's like, I know I have to prime my mindset to play offense and not defense. I have to ground myself. I have to shut down all those little voices that are in my head telling me, don't get out of bed. You're not good enough. Like, who do you think you are? And that's how I calm myself down. And then it's like, what that does, it makes it not about myself. It makes it about helping other people as well, too.
Yeah. And I have a morning routine that I do, and I have an evening form that I do also when I'm kind of like winding things down and recapping my day, putting the things together that I need to work on the next day. So that way I can just like relax and be with my family and not start thinking about, oh man, I can't forget to do this tomorrow or da 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 da. Because then you never really like give your family your 100%.
Yeah.
So that's why I think an evening formula is also really paramount in there. One of the best books, if you guys are looking for like a planner to help you set your day, it's called The High Performance Planner by Brendan Burchard. You can get it on Amazon.
I've heard of him.
It's really, really good. I actually created my own version too. So if anybody wants it, comment High Performance Planner down below. Little self plug in there too. Yeah, super key. And now kind of final takeaways, you guys. If you had to start over today with nothing but your experience, what would you guys be doing differently?
That's a good question.
Great question.
If I could start over, but I have all of my experience, all the skill sets.
Yeah. I mean, just kind of like, yeah, you only have your experience, I guess.
Yeah. I know for me, man, like that would be hiring more mentors and coaches like right away. I think too, we waited a little bit too long. Our pride and our ego got the best of us early on to where we're like, we don't need to hire people. We don't need to learn from other people. We could figure it out. So I think that would be it because it no matter what, it's going to time collapse things and it's going to expedite, the learning curve. And that's what it is. It's like you're buying speed from other people that are successful. And again, it's not even a shortcut. It's just time collapsing and you're paying for great information. So that's what I would do.
I would do three things, man. I'm going to take a little bit more like risk version. So it's like, I would basically, the first thing, go try to get a credit card that has like over 20K or something like that, or a loan, right? First thing I would do is invest in a coach, like Eric says, that has a system that's tried and true that I know, right? That I can, number two, do paid advertisement to get more attention on me, the brand, build my email list, all that stuff, go through my funnel. And the third thing is I'd make sure it goes to booking a call, and I'd work on my sales skills. Because that's another thing that we haven't talked about, guys, where like health coaches, professionals, they're so scared to sell, and they're so prideful, right? And selling, serving at the end of the day. And it's like, it's one of the biggest levers you guys can pull outside of increasing your prices or changing your offer, but it's getting better at sales skills. Because if you have a 10% closing rate and you can get that to 30 to 40%, that's so much more money on your guys' bottom line. So that's the three things I would focus on right there. Like if I had to start over, had the skill sets, experience, all that.
Dang, his was better.
Top, yeah. You got it. You guys are gonna have to wrestle off later, see who wins. I'm sure you guys had plenty of fights growing up.
Oh yeah, a lot of arguments.
And so, you guys, how can people connect with you and then also learn more about your podcast? Because you guys have a podcast as well.
Yeah, thanks, man. I mean, I would just say the best place, just follow us on Instagram at Chris and Eric Martinez. And then, yeah, come check out our podcast. It's the Dynamic Lifestyle Podcast, over 600 episodes. Tobias has been on. We've had some big players, big pioneers on there. So, yeah, I would say those two places.
Yeah. I just want to say thanks, Tobias, for having us on, man. Like, I really appreciate it. And, we've known each other for like close to 4 or 5 years now, right? So it's just been awesome to get to know you, man. See your journey. I mean, you're a hustler, man. You're a grinder. So nothing but respect for you. I got to meet you in December in California, and that was awesome. Just that different dynamic like that. So it's just awesome, man. And it just thank you so much. Like, we truly appreciate you and the work that you do for the industry, because we know you're about it. You're one of the real persons that's there to want to make impact.
No, I appreciate that.
And I echo the same, man. I'm a little jealous that I wasn't able to do the in-person thing, but it's just been awesome getting to know you, man. And just what the beauty of this is, and this is a great takeaway for the listeners, to where it's like, all of us are in the same, industry, right? We help health coaches, fitness coaches. We're all doing the same thing, but it's like, we still do monthly mastermind meetups, me, you, Jason, Richard. And it's like, we're all here to help and support each other. Iron sharpens iron. It's not competition. It's like, there's so much to go around and people to help. And it's like, why would you not want to sit there and just have a container of good people? So it's a good learning lesson for everyone. Don't sit there and, say, oh, like that person's competition if they're in the same industry. It's like, it's not even like that.
Yeah. And I echo everything too. I'm grateful for you guys too. It's great jamming with you guys. And like you said, we jam every single month. We get together, we have our little powwows, we go over all the different things and how can we improve? How can we optimize? How can we be better coaches and so forth? So man, what an episode. Chris and Eric, I appreciate you both for dropping by and dropping so much value today. Tons of insights on building a sustainable and profitable online coaching business. And if you're listening right now and you got even one golden nugget from today's conversations, which I know you did, make sure to follow them on social media and tap into their knowledge. And as always, if you enjoyed this episode, take a second to leave a review, share it with a fellow coach, and tag us on Instagram. We love seeing what resonates with you the most. That's it for today. Keep taking action, keep growing, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for tuning into the FitBiz Accelerator. If you found value in today's episode, make sure to subscribe so you never miss a tip or strategy to grow your online fitness business. And if you're ready to fast track your success, don't forget to check out tntfitprocoaching.com. Until next time, stay consistent, stay focused, and keep crushing it.